record here, and oops, we're going to come into, I'm just looking for the screen, and there may be, oh, fun. All right, well, we'll do it this way. And I just want to make sure that people can come in because it has the waiting room set up. They changed the, let's see. All right, it's in here, allow. Okay, all right, now people can join in whenever they want. And let me just close down. Let's make sure we are in Facebook Live. And we are. Oh, that's so cool. Voila. Okay. Oops. I'm gonna just close out a few windows so it's clear. And where are my notes? Where did you go? Where did my notes go? Okay, we're set. Thank you so much for your patience as I model imperfection. Imperfection in imperfection with technology, which is par for the course. And I hope that this will support you in seeing how you can so much have your voice out there. So welcome everyone. It is Feminine Leadership Friday, and we have a very special session today because I first want to thank you for the really wonderful response to the upcoming Emerge Triumphant and Prosper in the Pandemic with Your Feminine Power, the 6-week training that is going to begin on Sunday. And we've received a lot of really great questions that I'd like to take a couple of minutes to address any concerns that you might have about joining us. And they very much coincide with this issue of how do I best spend my time during the pandemic so that I come out the other side like better than before. So I thought it would be a really nice thing to have a session that combines those two and to open it up to Zoom. And if you've got questions in the chat on Facebook Live, you can place your comments and your questions there. And this way, we're able to address people live. If you're watching afterwards, we'll be able to send it out afterwards. This is a brave, brave new world, and we're all expanding. So first, the first thing that I want to address that is such a prevalent, let's say, notion that whatever happens in life, we don't have control. You don't have control over it. And what we're experiencing around the globe is just obvious. And yet we do have absolute control over how we respond to what happens. And so how can you use this time to really come out the other end better than you came in is to really use this. It's like, look at how you're approaching this time. You can approach it as, oh, all hell is breaking loose and everything's falling apart at the seams, which it is. Or you can look at it as, okay, all things are falling apart at the seams, and how do I choose to respond to that and look at that in such a way that I have an opportunity to shift my perspective. And my experience over 30 years with this work, in fact, this entire body of work and has come about by being in situations where I had no control, sitting through 3 wars, displacement, and choosing a perspective that would allow for something new to emerge. And the exciting thing is that this whole approach of ancient feminine leadership and healing sound, the historical precedence of it is in times of change, when everything is falling apart, or in life transitions such as birth and death. We see that in the hieroglyphics, in the ancient structures. And today this is coming back, and it's very, very exciting. It's a means where you can live in the cracks. Imagine being able to thrive in the cracks. So there have been several people have said, well, yeah, Eliana, that actually really excites me. But do you need to make all the sessions live? And I want to answer, no, you do not. Yet it's majorly great if you do, because magic happens then. The training is video-based, and the live sessions are for us to come together, for you to have live support, and for us to work and create together. And when you place yourself and your own presence as number one, then you achieves the wrong word. You allow in amazing results. And with that said, I would much rather that you complete this course and receive your certification, which you're going to automatically receive if you go through and complete this course. I'd rather have you receive that than not sign up, because you can't physically be present on the live coaching calls. And then you end up continuing the same old comfortable habits. Not that you like those habits, but they're comfortable and they're known. So that's easier in the short run. But in the end, they defeat you from really being able to make substantial change, because they have very cunning and self-sabotaging ways. So my community spans 5 continents around the globe. So there's not going to be one time that's great for everyone. I've been teaching online since 2005, and there is never a time that's great for everyone. But this is why all of the sessions, all of the actual teaching modules are recorded. You've got access to them 24/7. And there is also a private Facebook group. And what is majorly cool is that in this cohort, we have movement forward where there is online journaling and check-ins, which enables me to have a lot more personal contact with you, and for the group, should you choose to have much more contact as well. So there's a lot of expansion occurring, and I'm very, very excited about it. And this has transpired through the work of the last cohort. And it's very empowering. And this journaling ability and the coaching and the accountability in the coaching portal enables you to have a running, I don't know whether you call it running commentary, to watch your movement forward and to have feedback from other people. And you're going to have forever access to the recordings and to the handouts. And in addition, I've added an additional bonus of 3 months group coaching following the traditional training, the 6-week training of this course. Why? Because I want you to have ample opportunity to integrate what it is that you've learned, and have the chance to practice with your other mates and to receive support in moving ahead, to share your voice with the world, and to prosper yourself so that you can then support other people in prospering themselves. So please don't be afraid to join us. Any questions that you have can be posted in your journal, and we've got the private Facebook group for further connecting, and I will be happy to answer all of your questions. And experience over the years with the groups is that wonderful, wonderful connections occur, and many answers that I can't think of come up, because this is not a cognitive modality. It's a very conscious co-creation of a group of people who come together, and exciting things happen. Again, don't worry if you cannot make it. A cohort a few years ago, there was a woman in Malaysia. She could not make one of the live calls because the hours were just like bizarre. And she moved from Bali to Kuala Lumpur, and it never synced up. And what she would do was she would post her questions for our live sessions in the Facebook group, and then I would answer them, and other people had input as well. And it was so great. And today she's thriving. She had been unemployed when she came in. She had been in the corporate world and left, and was in a huge transition. Her kids had left home. She didn't know which end was up. And through the course, and not even being live on those sessions, she made a huge transition. And today she has a thriving healing sound practice in Malaysia. And she's working with companies, and she's working virtually now too. It's very, very exciting to see. So it's critical that you don't get stuck on any point in the process. It really is a matter of, like I said at the beginning, how do you really spend your time well now so that you emerge triumphant and that you come out the other side better? It's by being willing to change your perspective and to learn a new way of looking. And the opportunity is to imagine yourself in a place that you would really love to be. Because if you can imagine it, you can have it. But you got to be willing to make that shift. And last of all, I want to say that the Facebook group is going to be open for 3 months following the formal 6-week training as well, so that you have time to watch replays and ask more questions. And as well, you've got the portal with your journaling. So we've got you covered, all right? The second question, first of all, let's see if there are any other questions about this. Let's see, are we, okay, well, I can't see I see we are live in Facebook, and there are people watching, but I don't see anything. So let's move forward. And then at the end, I'm going to compose a piece of music as well. So you will oh, there is somebody else who is waiting to come in. Hold on, how do we find you? I think, is there? Oh, maybe in, oh, Ruthana, you're, how fantastic. At what time are the lessons on Sunday? Okay, great question. Hold on, let me come back to Zoom. Our live meetings, there are 3 live sessions during the 6 weeks. Those will be at 11 a.m. And when you go into, we have an amazing portal, group coaching genie portal, which is, I'm getting goosebumps. And in the pilot course, which we did in November, I didn't know this, but I happened to be the first person to be leading a live training on the group coaching genie portal. Milana Lezinski, who's an amazing feminine leader, she was in beta testing, and I was the absolute beneficiary of I think I was the last person who got in on this beta. I was so last minute that she had already given the training session. So the only way that I could use this beta coaching was just to figure it out on my own. And I am not Miss Technology. Technology are not us, but I have learned and I show up and I practice this feminine leadership way with the technology. And it was so amazing because we got to learn together in real time. Milana and her team and myself and everybody who was in the pilot course through our own foibles and just showing up and none of us knowing. And we learned together and all of our questions of not knowing, Milana and her team are fabulous. And I'm getting goosebumps. What is in the portal today is a result of the questions of our group. So we created this amazing thing, like the journaling and the check-in. That's as a result of, and the facts and the intro little 3-minute video that you'll see when you check in. It's just cool. So the list of when you check into the portal, you'll see on the introduction page the times of our meetings. I have at this point set up the 3 sessions during the 6 weeks of the formal training. Every week, when I say formal training, what I mean by that is there will be a module that will be sent out each week so as not to overwhelm you. And it's one thing builds upon the next. And then the sessions are set for you to be able to ask questions and practice. And we're going to have breakout sessions. That evolved from the women in the last group too. It's going to be so fun. And then for the 3 months following, I set time for 11 a.m. as well on I believe I set it for Wednesdays. I have intentionally not put all the times down because I'm waiting to see what the constellation of participants is. When I was in Israel, all those years in Israel, I would always teach on Sundays. And then since I've been in the States, it was during the week. It's like dependent upon where people are, there are pros and cons to everything. And part of the process of this expansion is learning to trust the process. So does that answer your question? Cool. Cool. Oh, so 11 o'clock a.m. is Pacific time. Pacific time. So that will be 11, 12, 1, 2 Eastern time. And I set it up at 11 because that pretty much syncs up with, you could be in Europe. If you're in Australia or New Zealand or Asia, well, you got to wake up early in the morning. But I did set it up so that if you're in Malaysia, it won't be the middle of the night. And if there are people in that area, we'll find a way. That is part of the really, really cool thing about this work that I have loved over the years. One of the great benefits is that you learn to see that you can really trust in not knowing. And going back to this first thing, how do I spend my time? Well, by learning something new and not knowing, that's like a great live, in the moment, useful, practical lesson that we learn real time. So the second question is, what if I don't know what I'm going to do after the pandemic is over and I'm not sure about my cash flow? And that also spurred, it's like, what if I don't know what I'm going to do after the pandemic, is what spurred on the poll that I have been asking over the last 3-4 weeks in the group, is that people are trying to figure out, whether your life has come to a crashing halt, or your work has totally shifted because it's not relevant in today's world, or you're just locked out in quarantine and suddenly after working in an office finding yourself at home. It's like everybody's going through very, very different situations. And some people are finding themselves with, they can't go out and they've got a lot more money on their hands. And some people, their entire businesses or work has crashed and they're finding themselves with a lot less money on their hands. So I'm getting a lot of those questions. You know, I'm not sure about my cash flow. And first, I want to say that the course is structured to give you coaching and to give you support every step of the way to connect to the source of your power and for you to get clarity and clear. And if you attend and you do the work consistently, by the end of the 6 weeks, you're going to be certified to give professional sessions that you can earn money with. And by the end of the following 3 months, you're going to have the support and the experience that you can monetize, that you can sell. So excited about this. Do you know how long I have wanted to do this? And when I was first setting up this next cohort, I had no idea that the certification was going to be there. And that has happened as a result of this pandemic as well. It's very, very cool. So the program is focused on learning to hear, trust, and follow the guidance of your inner voice and to unlock the secrets to thrive in your personal and your professional life, no matter what is going on around you. You're going to receive a feminine leadership practitioner certification, and you're going to be able to offer professional level sessions to paying clients should you choose. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I've added that in at no cost because I really am ready to plant my own flagpole. For years, I've said my mission is to empower 1,000 feminine leaders who then empower another 1,000. That's 1,000,000 people. That's really doable as well. Imagine 1,000,000 empowered leaders, everyday leaders. That's the world I want to live in. So, you know, if we go back to this first, learn something new, be willing to go where you haven't gone, as I've been asking myself, what do I do? The answer was, well, sweetheart, don't you think it's about time? Like everything's falling apart. You left LA 30 years ago, consciously choosing to make your changes when you don't have to, because you could see the writing on the wall, saying to yourself, I'll make them now so that when everything falls apart, I'll be able to really be of service, come back and help others. And that's what's going on now. So it's just cool. And whether you're already a coach, or perhaps you're a social worker or a healer or a healing musician or a singer or a spiritual coach or a business coach, or you've been in management and you want to go out on your own, this is the starting point of a journey into the wisdom of ancient feminine leadership, and it will change your life in a very, very positive way. I've received emails from women who say, well, Eliana, I'm really interested, but given the pandemic, my cash flow is like, you know, it's taken a nosedive way, you know, way south. And I want you to know not to worry, because if you're truly ready to move forward and to show up for the work, then we can work out a payment plan that accommodates your cash flow in a way that empowers you, not in a way that victimizes you. If you are looking for a Band-Aid, do not, I say, do not come to this. I am willing to really work with you because I'm showing up, walking my talk, and I'm inviting in other women who are ready to walk their talk. And if that's you and the issue is the cash flow, that's not going to be in the way. We will work something out that you can work out. And it's similar to the time issue. So you're not going to know until you say yes to yourself and you're willing to take that leap of faith. And I have learned over the 30 years that I've been working with this and working with other people is that when you wait for the condition to be more comfortable, that's the booby prize, because it's never going to be comfortable. And where we are today, it's like D-Day. You're either going to jump off and we're going to move forward and expand together. And there is no one human being on this planet Earth who is not going through this. We all are. And it's the exciting thing. And for 30 years, jumping off and expecting the net to appear, it has. Not la-di-da, woo-woo. No, no, no. By showing up and by being willing to have before you know. That's the empowering part. So suffice to say, if you need help, we can work that out, and just send me a private message or go to voicesofeden.com/session and set up a time, and we will meet. And I'll be very, very happy to meet with you. Let's see. And the third is, well, what are we going to cover in the event? In the event of 6 weeks of emerging, thriving through this pandemic and prospering in this pandemic with your feminine power. So everything that you need to know, I want to say, is in what we're doing session by session, module by module, is on the program page, and I will put the link in the comment section in the Facebook group that you can click on and get every single detail that you could ever want to know. And if that's still not enough, private message me. I'm happy to speak with you. But if you need a quick recap, you can hear this quick recap. Here's what we're going to cover. How to ground yourself in any situation with your feminine power. I have sat through bombs exploding around me using what you're going to learn. If I could sit through bombs blasting and not die and freak out, you can too. Not only that, you will thrive. You're going to get 100% clear on what you want so that you can emerge from this time of change really ready to share your gift with others. You have gifts that nobody else has. You're going to learn how to navigate through change and through uncertainty in real time. I spoke about that. I gave a few examples as we've been speaking. That's just like worth the price of admittance itself, because you get to learn with a group of women who are showing up as well. And I want to say something here. Well, no, I'll say it after the next one. And you'll learn how to manage conflict and remain centered without losing yourself. So I'm hearing a lot of people writing too that they're going nuts now. If you're living with somebody and you're at home, at this point, there's like stir craziness coming up, and our Achilles heels come up. We are not used to this situation. It has never happened before in human history. So why wouldn't it come up? But you're going to learn a step-by-step process, an organic process to your own confident self-expression, and you are going to learn how to teach that positions you as a leader. And you're going to learn to teach it by you also showing up in real time as an example of it, imperfectly. It's not 12 steps too. We're following a manual. It's by showing up. And I was writing this morning, and I didn't know whether it was appropriate to share, but I think it does, of this how to navigate through change and uncertainty. That I wrote, it's the energetic, it's the what's not seen that's valuable here. Because when you own and you embody your power, that moves mountains. It does not make sense. And this stuff is never going to make sense to you. To say that right away. And this isn't for you. If you need to be in control and you say you're ready to change, but when push comes to shove and you get really uncomfortable, you blame somebody else. And I'm not saying that as a judgment, because I can do that in any second. We all can. But that is not what this is. What this is, and where I'm planting my flagpole, is I'm really ready to embody abundance and prosperity with other people and share in that abundance. And we don't have a paradigm. None of us learned that. We're going to be learning it together in real time. So excited. So here are the ways that we doubt. We deflect, we get emotional, we punish ourselves to save further embarrassment, and we don't trust because secretly we expect attack. And then we inadvertently attack ourselves, and then we hide, or we don't show up, and that attacks other people because you're not sharing your power. Your power is needed. This is not the time to be hiding anymore. And it isn't going to be comfortable to step out. But that's what the whole point of this course is, that you don't have to do it alone. And where we're going, no one of us has the answer. There is no one, well, there is one answer. It's time for us to be who we are. We were going into an amazing time together, those of us who choose that. And what I wrote here too, when we don't show up, that attacks others because underneath it's from an old habit of not enoughness. Somebody else knows more. And voila. So I've spoken enough. I wonder if you have any more questions before we go to Ruthana, do you have a question? Do you want to say something? Hello there. I've unmuted you.
Hello, Aliana.
Hello there.
So these lessons are weekly, like the taped ones are weekly, and then on top, on a different day, are 3 live sessions.
Exactly. The modules will be released every week. And then you're going to have forever access to it as well. And you'll always be able to go back into the portal and access those at any time. Yet the formal lessons, of the 6-week are divided into 6 separate weeks to enable you. The videos themselves they're short, and I'm redoing the whole thing since the pilot course. I was very powerful, and it's the material is appropriate, it's timeless. Yet how this stuff works is that your voice really makes a difference. So as you contribute and people contribute, more questions come up, and that's how I could be. It's like the material itself is very simple. It's not heady. It's not cognitive. They're very simple things. And as each one of us is practicing, it generates, it's like a, I call it Voice of Eden. That came out, I came out after the research, after we did the research, after I went back to see what did I do over 3 years consistently every week that brought these results. And then it was, maybe it was right after the war, right after the 2006 war, or maybe it was during that time. Actually, it was during the war that Voices of Eden, 2006. I thought, well, this is a living experiment of creating Eden on earth, one authentic voice at a time. As I lived in in this beautiful, bucolic health village overlooking the Sea of Galilee. We actually go when we have the feminine leadership retreats in Israel. We actually work there. It's just so amazing. While that war was going, everything is like this bucolic place. Everybody, they fled to Tel Aviv, to the center of the country, and I thought, why did they flee to the center of the country? That's like ridiculous, because they're just going to sit in the center of the country. It's going to be like I said before, like running to protect myself. This body, I don't know when this body's going to go. I have no control over that. What am I going to go pretend like there's no war? And I'm like, God, how come we can't all live in peace? And this voice said to me, well, that's rather naive, sweetheart. How well do you know how to live with war? How peaceful can you live with conflict? Because they're flip sides of the same coin. And that gave me pause. And that's how this Voices of Eden came out. It's like, no, you know what? If I'm the only person who stays in this village, and I was, there are other people, I truly want to live peacefully. And if I'm truly going to live peacefully, let it begin with me. It's not about, how la flow when everything's right, but how well do we live when all hell is breaking loose? So it's a living experiment of creating Eden on earth, one authentic voice at a time, as each one of us dares to stop and listen. And we receive the answers to our questions we can 24/7. Don't even need Wi-Fi hookup, doesn't cost a cent, except your anxiety and your needing to be right about your limitations. And then imagine what happens as we dare trust what we're hearing, and then we dare express that unified whole. That to me is Eden. That's the world I want to live in, and that's why I show up one day at a time. And as each one of us learns and brings up stuff, then that's what generates the next level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that solitude that you had to go through and building evidence, so to speak. And these are, as you said, these are timeless. And when we come now, I think we also enter a new age, sort of being, or a new understanding, I should say, which is an old understanding that in community, it just has a ripple effect, right? From that point that you had this living experiment for so many years that can be repeated over and over, doesn't matter where you're at. That is then kind of that ripple effect when we are in groups and when women are there for each other. I think I had that vision when I was a kid that the world will change when the women are coming together. And I think you probably were a front runner or a forerunner of already embodying it, also being drawn to this, even you didn't know really a form about it yet, but I think your life path brought you here that you can actually now give structure and words to it, right? Like that's I think now the time to come together and show up.
Yeah, couldn't have expressed it better. Yeah, you express it really, really beautifully. That's really powerful. Yeah. Well, let me check let's check Facebook and see if there are any live questions there. No, I think we're okay. All right, so then let us, please, private message me. If you have questions, please join us. You have nothing to lose. There's a money back guarantee. Usually I do not give a money back guarantee. I do that quite intentionally as well, because this is something that I can't go out and sell. It's something, oh my goodness, Kat Haber is here. Kat!
Hey, how are you?
Oh, amazingly well. Oh, you're giving me goosebumps, Kat,
Wow.
because Meet Ruthana was just asking a question about, how this works, and somehow I don't remember what the question was now, but it came to the war in 2006 and Voices of Eden, and how Voices of Eden, that name came about, and then we had the first course. It was called something about authentic voice. That was the first name, and Kat was in the first. I don't know if it was the first one. You were in one of the first ones. I remember the telephone, and it would go. Oh,
Wow, that was a long time ago.
that was a
14
long.
years.
Is that amazing?
Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. How far you've come,
Oh
Eliana.
my God, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And Kat was in, I don't know, maybe 2010. So, by the end of 2012, I'm supposed to probably give a TED talk. And there, sometime in the middle of 2012, Kat, she writes something on my Facebook wall, or it was a group or something, and you go, I'm organizing a TED talk. I'm dreaming of you being there. Is that possible? I'm like, holy moly. Yeah, what needs to, how do we do this? And and you know what? I don't know whether I ever told you this, but at the same time, I'm like, all the time, I've always known, since I sang on the trains, and that was 1990 something. Oh, 1992, after the Olympics. Like when I sang on the trains, I knew that I was using media for a constructive purpose. Well, who knew then that there would be internet?
Right.
And then, but those first classes, then there were like those bridge lines, the telephone bridge lines, and then you're like missing out on these ancient sites. There was no internet. We didn't have the communication like we do now. But I know we got to record. Like, how are people going to come here? And in 1999, Barbara Marx Hubbard and I, if we were going to bring Barbara to Israel, because we had a similar vision of this sound. And then Y2K happened. Remember that? It's like,
Yeah.
it just like totally killed that was like not happening. And then I'm like, how do we get people here? It's like, and the entire tourism industry ended.
I guided with Barbara for 5 years.
No way.
Yes, in the Gateway for Conscious Evolution.
Oh, that is so funny.
So I've been noticing that we need to really pay attention to these messages that we get that don't seem to make any sense right now, because the whole context, like the fabric, the weave of what we are always already listening to, has been warped so much that we don't really have places to kind of stick these clues into. So we just need to remember them, and then at some point in the future, they'll become understandable.
Very, very wisely spoken. That's the whole purpose of having this course. And what I was saying right before, or Ruthana, you were saying, not me, but like right before you came on, you were asking the question of, oh, I don't remember what the question was, but the response was, that's how the Voices of Eden came. It's like, as we connect to that voice, then each one of us, there's no one person who has the answers. Mm-hmm. And the intention of this work, the purpose of it, is that it allows for us to connect to a paradigm beyond cognitive. That's what I'm calling feminine power. For lack of a better word, you could call it anything you want, beyond words. But it's a means by which we connect to higher mind. And then these processes connect to make a bridge between that place where you know, in your wisdom, to your cognitive expression. And the reason for having this course, the reason why I'm focusing this certification on, it's the first level, it's the first element of this whole model. There are 5 elements. But on the musical part, there is a bit of music in here as well, but it's not music like we know music. It's why I have not gone to traditional, I mean, I have over the years, but it's been just an organic, allowing, it's like the whole marketing of this, the whole unfolding of it, the whole teaching of it, the whole creation of it is this thing in and of itself. And as, just like I said before, as each one of us connects to the source of our power, to the source of our voice, which is actually behind the sound.
I wanted to ask you, how
Yeah.
do you say feminine power in Hebrew?
Koach nashi.
Koch nashi.
Mm-hmm.
Koch nashi.
Koach nashi. Yeah.
Koch nashi. Thank you.
Why did you want to know that?
Well, often when I'm naming a campaign, a project, a movement, when it sounds clunky in English, I often look for a root word in a foreign language that is having an impact in that arena.
Oh, okay. So,
So,
yeah.
for example, we plant second generation Hiroshima survivor trees for peace to generate conversations on nuclear non-proliferation. Well, that is a very large mouthful. But the word peace in Japanese is heiwa. So if we say heiwa and people have a frame of reference, we don't have to say that very long jumble.
Well, then, then you could just use, if that's the issue, you could just use nashi, because koach, no, koach that may be difficult for people to say.
And nashi, Nashi?
Nashi.
Okay, nashi.
Or ee, depending upon if you're, maybe you could do it for Americans and Europeans, and
Okay.
South Pacific do NASHIE.
Okay, nashi,
Nashi.
meaning feminine power.
Well, that means feminine.
Oh, okay. All right.
And those who know Hebrew, it'll stir them up, which is good because it'll get them to, then that will help them to inquire in what that really is that's beyond cognitive.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hold on. I've got to. So we're getting to the end of our session, and Kat, I invite you to listen to what was before, and those of you who have come to the end, thank you so much, because there's a lot of great meat in here. Oops, sorry about that. And I want to, well, now that Kat has brought up that cool thing of koach nashi, that is a perfect segue to the music meditation that I want to offer to support you in connecting to the source of your feminine power. And we began this session with responding to how can we best use this time in quarantine and in this time of great transition to come out the other side much better than we came in, and that is to be willing to learn something new and to look at things differently. And koach nashi is going out of your mind. And this music is intended to take you beyond your cognitive mind and into your inner knowing. So that will be the focus of this. And I'm looking forward to being with you on Sunday as we start the course. And please check out the course. If you're here this long, there's something here calling you. And if you're not, enjoy this session. And if you're called, there is goodness and expansion and an expression, a cognitive expression of your spirit. And if you are in a place where you are yearning to have your wisdom heard by others, especially if you happen to be a woman who finds herself in environments where others don't exactly understand you, and they may have looked at you like little odd. And if you are someone who has succeeded in getting along in the world by dumbing down that oddness in order to get along, this is absolutely for you. Because what you are going to find in this training are women who are willing to show up, and you are going to discover that you can actually be supported in your vulnerability. Whereas when you're with people, men and women, who are not yet there, you may have been hit in the side in the past when you've shown up vulnerably. This is a place for mature women. I'm not, that mature doesn't have to do with age. I mean mature in that you are really ready to be supported in your beauty, supported in your vulnerability, because your vulnerability is actually your greatest strength. And if there is anything teaching us this, it is today's world. And I will be very, very honored to work with you and to train you and to learn with you. I want to invite each and every one of us to remember how wonderful and powerful and beautiful that we are, that each one of us has a voice that no one else has, that we each have something very, very important to share, and we are being called now to share it. Please do something kind for yourself today because you really, really deserve it. How will you show up for you? How will you allow your beauty to be seen and heard by others so that we can benefit from your presence, from your passion, from your pleasure, from your voice? Because it really is important, especially when it doesn't make sense. Dare go there. Because when you dare to go there, you will discover untold delights, and we're waiting to experience that from you. And we're not meant to do this alone. I look forward to hearing from you and wishing you such goodness. Bye.